program. And Ben, we want to talk about EY, and that's Ernst Young as it used to be, and AI.
Indeed. Hello, everybody. Big news from the world of professional services. EY, the World Economic Forum strategic partner, formerly known as Ernst Young, where I actually worked for a couple of years as a director in their London offices, has just announced the launch of its own AI platform. They describe it as a unifying platform which combines our vast experience in strategy, transactions, transformation, risk, assurance, and tax with EY technology platforms and leading edge capabilities facilitated by an ecosystem spanning technology, business, and academia. EY.ai builds confidence, helps create exponential value, and augments potential. And if anyone watching knows what that means, if you could please send us an email to let us know, that would be fantastic. They have already developed a go-to-market proposition. So this is how they engage with clients. So this is just to give you an idea about how they go about interacting with an organization that wanted to use this AI platform. They define the strategy. They identify ways to maximize value creation. They then build confidence in AI and empower the workforce. So this is their process for deploying this technology inside client organizations to build confidence in the technology, to build trust in the technology. But trust is a huge, huge issue for artificial intelligence at the moment. People still don't trust it. So these organizations are very heavily invested in building trust and fundamentally augmenting and transforming people. This is about the workforce. This is about changing the way that people inside large organizations expect to do the work that they do on a daily basis, augmented by these technologies that are still, as far as I'm concerned, completely unproven, very poorly regulated and untested. So this all fits into a much broader trend. You would have no doubt noticed over the past 12 months, 18 months that AI has been absolutely everywhere. We want AI everything, apparently. This has included major investments from all of the big professional services firms. So we've talked a bit about EY, but KPMG are also in on the game. They've invested $2 billion in a strategic partnership with Microsoft. Deloitte has launched a strategic partnership with NVIDIA, the microchip manufacturer. PwC has invested $1 billion of partner money over the next 3 years and launched its own chatbot, Chat PwC. Bain has set up a strategic partnership with OpenAI, and McKinsey has actually been well ahead of the curve on this. They've been active in the AI space for nearly a decade now via its Quantum Black subsidiary. And looking at formal statements, formal communications that have been released by these firms over the past 5 years. We've done some analysis on this. It looks like something around 20% of all press releases being issued from these firms relate to AI. And that is a huge proportion, given that they also issue releases relating to financial results, executive appointments, primary research, thought leadership, all the other things they talk about. AI is actually factored in 20% of the information that they've been putting out proactively. And I think it's really important just to reinforce what these firms are there to do, right? So they exist primarily to maximize partner bonuses. So they're there, like all corporations, to maximize profits for the people that own them. They're there then to maximize client profitability. So their primary purpose is to expand profit margins for large corporations. That's the vast majority of the work that they do. And then ultimately to maintain and to reinforce the status quo. So they work with all of the big global corporations, all the big government departments, anything that's big, essentially, big, international, supranational, that's where these companies operate. And all of the ones that I've just mentioned are strategic partners of the World Economic Forum. And they're actually a primary delivery mechanism, a delivery channel for WEF strategies out into the economic and the political system, because the relationships that these small group, maybe 10 or 15 international businesses have with all of the global corporations and all of the big government departments and all of the NGOs makes them a very efficient and powerful way of getting that those strategies and that information out into the system. They also just have this incredibly depressing perspective on this technology. There's this image from a recent EY report, which basically says that is AI the start of the truly creative human? This idea that it's only now in 2023 with artificial intelligence that humanity can finally unlock its latent creativity. This is just nonsense, absolute nonsense. It's insulting to the human race fundamentally. Yeah, and actually my view is that it's the end of human creativity, and deliberately so. And EY sponsors the Tate, by the way. Yeah, so one of the big arts institutions in the UK, the Tate and the Tate Modern, is sponsored by EY, and yet they're coming out with this kind of communication. I think it's remarkable and very telling about their perspective on the tech, but also on humanity itself. So in the same report that image came from, they put a quote from this guy, Gordon M. Goldstein, from the Council on Foreign Relations, who's calling for AI regulation. So he sees the biggest challenge to AI as being regulation. Despite the growing need for robust AI regulation, it's going to be extremely hard to achieve. Television took 5 years to regulate. Airlines took 20 years to regulate. And most estimates for AI think it will take a decade to regulate this technology. And it's also interesting to think about the role of Ofcom, the UK media regulator, over the past few weeks, and whether that's a model that we'd actually wish to emulate for AI. They've been highly censorious in regulating communications across British television networks. Do we want to see those same principles, those same ideas applied to AI? I think probably not. Unfortunately, though, the UK are taking a lead on AI regulation, and not least through the upcoming AI Safety Summit, which is taking place at the start of November at Bletchley Park. It's going to be attended by a host of international technologists, diplomats, academics, even representatives from people like the Chinese government, for example, who are also understandably very keen on artificial intelligence. They use it extensively across the CCP system. It's being coordinated. The summit is being coordinated by two people. These are appointees of Rishi Sunak. So essentially they are his Sherpas. They are his representatives at the forum. The first is this guy, Matt Clifford, who is also the chairman of ARIA, which is the UK version of DARPA, which has launched in the past couple of years. Very interesting organization. He is the chair there and also representing Sunak at the AI Safety Summit. His view is that the opportunities that AI presents are truly transformative. Top of the list is healthcare. The UK is investing heavily in this area. And then there's AI's contribution to tackling climate change. And finally, AI has the potential to support both students and teachers across the country. So healthcare, climate change, and education, which is exactly what Tony Blair's been talking about, and also what Netanyahu spoke about at the UN a couple of weeks ago, as we showed on the news last Friday. The other Sherpa, the other person representing the UK, is this gentleman, Jonathan Black, who is a senior civil servant and also the current fellow of the Hayward Foundation. And as a fellow of the Hayward Foundation, he's focused on national security and economic interests. And he sees the intersection between those two things as being particularly important, right? So economics and the markets and national security and the state, the power and money, ultimately, where those two things come together. That's what he's focused on. And as a Hayward Fellow, he's actually a representative of the Hayward Foundation, and the Hayward Foundation was set up after the death of Jeremy Hayward, who was the former head of the UK Civil Service. He died in 2021, who also has himself and the Civil Service have an extraordinarily close and deeply embedded relationship with EY, aka Ernst Young, to bring us full circle on where we started on this, right? So actually what we're looking at here is a situation where the regulator, the people setting the rules, are also at the same time completely aligned with the people that they're supposed to be regulating. So there's an image that we've just got here of Jeremy Hayward speaking at the Civil Service Awards, promoting a brilliant civil service, headline sponsored by EY. This is from 2017. But EY are still heavily embedded into the UK civil service. So this relationship between the regulator and the people that they are supposed to be regulating is extraordinarily close, and I think deserves much closer scrutiny. It doesn't feel appropriate to me. UK government is also working with a bunch of other big consulting firms. Just this week, David Knott, the UK government chief technology officer, has been at the IBM offices in London talking about generative AI in government. IBM is also a strategic partner to the World Economic Forum, and as David Scott and I spoke about earlier on this year, is working in life sciences with companies like Moderna, very interestingly, to think about how they can use generative AI to hack the human genome and build on the RNA technologies that have been developed through the COVID vaccines and which have caused so much damage over the past few years, as evidenced by this afternoon's debate in the House of Commons that Andrew Bridgen is going to be speaking at. So I think that this is a really troubling development. From that perspective, and then also just from an economic perspective, a really interesting announcement from Deloitte, which came out today, which just shows the end point of all of this, ultimately, just in the economic system, is that there are going to be fewer high-value jobs for humanity and more control and profit for the people who are running the corporate system. So Deloitte has laid off 150 junior consultants as part of a wider round of 800 redundancies. That's despite the fact that partners earned £1 million each last year, a lot of that driven by government work. And essentially what's happening is the lower value work, the more mundane work, the research and the analysis that was previously carried out by more junior consultants is now being automated, replaced by artificial intelligence in order to maximize profits for the people who own the organization. And ultimately that is what is driving a huge amount of this.
Okay, Ben, thank you very much for that. This is an area we will be looking a lot more at in the coming months. But